Oklahoma will now require certain places, certain public bathrooms, to post signage that would prevent women, or at least attempt to prevent women, from seeking abortions. Now, these signs would be posted in hospitals, nursing homes, restaurants, and public schools. The nursing homes are really interesting, right? It kind of shows the lack of, I don't know, knowledge when it comes to things regarding reproduction. But nonetheless, let's move on. So the provision for the signs was tucked into a law that the legislature passed this year that requires the state to develop informational material for the purpose of achieving an abortion-free society. The signs must be posted by January 2018. Okay, so there are lots of problems with these signs. Problem number one is they passed it in a sneaky way, which, you know, conservatives usually do, right? But problem number two, and I would argue this is the bigger problem, is they've passed this legislation without providing funding for it. And so these businesses and these schools and these nursing homes will have to pay for the signs themselves. So businesses and other organizations will have to pay an estimated $2.3 million to put up signs because the legislature didn't approve any money for them. So I just want to stop for a second, because there's always this interesting argument about big government. And so big government is something that conservatives love when it comes to, you know, regulating your personal life, who you're having sex with, where they're putting your penis or their penis, how are they fucking you. Like they want to get involved in all of that, right? But usually they're hands off when it comes to businesses because they don't like regulating businesses. But all of a sudden they're like, okay, maybe we like this kind of regulation. We want you to pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So two things about that. You're right, Anna. So they've got to stop talking about big government versus small government, because that isn't the issue. The real issue is we just want to let our donors that run businesses do whatever the hell they want, okay? So just be honest about your ideology. Your ideology is the rich and multinational corporations running amok. That's it. That's all there is to it. And on the social end, you're a religious fundamentalist. You're the American Taliban. The Taliban say, okay, you must have a beard and you're not allowed to dance. By the way, in some parts of the country, religious fundamentalists don't want you to dance either. Okay, so it's frightening how similar. And the woman must serve the husband, Christian fundamentalists, Muslim fundamentalists. In this case, no, I'm going to tell you what to do with your body. Okay, now, I actually, believe it or not, now weird defense of them, is that I mind it less if it's their so-called education program like this, even though it's propaganda. If they drew the line at, yeah, now you get to decide, don't get me wrong, you do whatever you want with your body,
But of course
but
they don't do that.
I'm a conservative government, so I'm going to tell you to not have an abortion, and here's a sign that gives you an option. I mind that a lot less.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. If reproductive rights were, you know, still in place in Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is one of the more restrictive states when it comes to reproductive rights, then sure, whatever, the signs are there, and at the end of the day, a woman who wants to get an abortion is going to get an abortion, whether or not it's legal, by the way. And so these signs, let me read you the language so you know what they say. Okay, so it says, there are many public and private agencies willing and able to help you carry your child to term and assist you and your child after the child is born, which is not true. I'll get to that in a second. Whether you choose to keep your child or place him or her for adoption. So it's just letting them know you can give up your baby for adoption, don't get an abortion, okay? So yeah, based on other things we've seen conservatives do in regard to reproductive rights and, you know, the images of aborted fetuses that they love showing everyone, this is fine. But what is it with conservatives and bathrooms? Like, they love bathrooms. They're like, oh my God, let's talk about bathrooms. What can we make your bathroom, how can we make your bathroom experience more uncomfortable? How? Tell us, right? They're obsessed with it. Also, this is fine if it's an option and then the state actually pays for that option. So they're talking about foster care, giving these kids up for adoption, but conservatives in the state of Oklahoma continuously cut funding for anything that helps needy families and needy children. So Oklahoma lawmakers cut a tiny tax credit for child care. It's SB 1605, severed $129,000 fund that ensured mothers could work while still ensuring their children were safe. So one representative even went so far as to call those children and their mothers a, quote, special interest group. All right. So they really care about children, right?
When they're in the womb, they're the most important thing in the world. The minute they come out of the womb, special interest group, ignore those people.
So since January of this year, Oklahoma's $3 billion budget for schools has been cut by nearly $58 million. Okay, so of course, a lot of poor kids who need an education won't have access to quality education because these, conservatives keep cutting funds for it.
If they wanted an education, they should have just stayed in the womb. Then we would have protected them.
Right. Child welfare in Oklahoma has been so bad that the federal government literally had to take it over. Currently, there are nearly 14 out of every 1,000 children in the state that are in state custody due to abuse and neglect because there is a lack of resources for families and caregivers. Oklahoma had to settle a lawsuit brought by the federal government after a little girl was murdered by a foster parent. So let's stop playing games, okay? All conservatives in this country. I know there's a tiny, tiny portion of you who actually are pro-life and believe that it's life at the moment of conception. But the vast majority of you, again and again, prove that this is about punishing women. It's about feeling angry that they had sex without the intention of reproducing, and so they need to be punished. They need to have that baby and then go through life living in poverty without the support necessary to take care of that life. You don't care about lives. You want legislation that would even prevent a woman from having an abortion if her life was in danger as a result of that pregnancy. That's what conservatives are in favor of, okay? It's all BS, and I'm so tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, and finally, you're so right about two other things. The unfunded mandate. This is the one that they complain about, hey, if you're going to do mining regulations, for example, and to save people's lives, to make sure coal miners aren't trapped and die in a mine. Unfunded mandate. You're telling them to do safety so that the people don't die, but the government isn't paying for it, right? But yet here they just did an unfunded mandate to put up a bunch of posters all over nursing homes in case they get pregnant there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, Anna, God, you are so right about the bathrooms. I never thought about it that way. Everything to do with bathrooms are like, oh my God, we're in the bathroom again. Yes. Like, I don't know, my sense of it is.
I think it's weird.
It is. The only time we talk about bathrooms on this show is when conservatives are somehow involved.
Okay, Republican Party, here's my message to you. Get out of our bathrooms. You know who makes independent media possible? You guys. Because of you, we can actually do this show free of any outside influence. That's what makes us so strong. Become a member today. tytnetwork.com/join. You are the media.